How is the UK not a democracy? Well, not to get all Jordan Peterson on you, but how would you define democracy? Because I'd assume you'd say something along the lines of a country where the decisions made by the government broadly reflect the wishes of the majority of the people in that country. Well, the UK has never been that. Take the last election as an example. Labour, the party currently in government, they got 34% of the vote in that election, but that gave them 63% of the seats in Parliament, so they have a massive majority control over everything that gets done. The other parties, the remaining 37% of the seats in Parliament, they can never overrule Labour. Labour can do whatever it wants. But those other parties represent 66% of British voters, which means that 2/3 of all the votes counted in the last election have no effect on policy. So if you're defining a democracy as a system where the political decisions made by the government reflect the wishes of the majority of the population of that country, the UK simply isn't that. And that's always the case. No party ever gets more than half of the votes. Worse still, parties to the left of the Conservatives, so we're talking Labour, Lib Dems, SNP, Greens, always get the majority of the votes combined, which means the majority of voters in the UK are, broadly speaking, left, centre, left. But the Conservatives have been in power for most of the last 80 years, which means we always get governments that are more right-wing than the actual people. But I don't say that the UK isn't a democracy to bum you out, I say it to give you hope. Because if all votes did count equally, if we had a voting system that was actually fair, then for the future of the UK, we would almost always get, broadly speaking, left, centre-left governments. So all the things that you care about, whether it's climate change, equality, Palestine, Brexit, those things would be handled the way that you want them handled. And the members of the Labour Party itself want to change to a proportional voting system so that we can give you that. The only thing standing in the way of the UK getting a real democracy and actual progressive change is Keir Starmer. He could choose tomorrow to give us a voting system where everybody's vote counts equally, which is what the majority of British people actually want, but he is refusing. He is choosing to leave us stuck with a voting system that only one other country in Europe actually even uses, which is Belarus, which is often referred to as Europe's last dictatorship. But if you want to insist that a country where 2/3 of the votes have no effect on the political decisions made by the government is a democracy, you go right ahead.